George, how are you? It's good to see you, man.
Good thing there's an edit thing here.
Yes, no, it's all right.
So, welcome. My name is George Eldy, owner of Wines by Nature, and we're here today with Jacques from Chateau Maris.
Well, thanks for having me, George. George and I have known each other for many years, and congratulations on opening the new store.
Thank you very much. When I designed the store mentally, one of the things I kept on going back to was the philosophy and everything that Chateau Maris does. So this is part of the inspiration of designing the structure of the store. So I thought it was very appropriate for you to be my first interview.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for having us.
My pleasure. So can you help us all with the story? Let's start with the winery. When was it founded?
Oh, sure. Well, that's easy enough. The winery itself exists since the 30s. It was owned by the Maris family, and Monsieur Maris in the 90s didn't have any kids, so he has to sell the estate. And me and my partners, which I'm afraid sounds a little bit like a joke because it's an American guy, an English person, and two Frenchmen, we bought this estate in 1996, and quite frankly, we got screwed. So, and the way we got screwed is very simple. We bought vineyards that were sick. They had been treated with chemicals, insecticides, petroleum-based fertilizer, you name it, it was in the soil. And the first vintage, we were trying those grapes, and Robert, the winemaker, was trying those grapes, and they're like, this tastes like hell. You know, how are you going to make great wine out of grapes that really that taste awful? And so we sold the first vintage entirely to the co-op, and then we found some ways into, okay, how do we bring back life into those vineyards? And one way that we found was to cultivate in a biodynamic way. And biodynamic is a philosophy that started in the 20s. It predates the organic certification, and it's essentially adding life into the vineyard through the addition of lots and lots of shit. So there you go. So we bought compost, and we did a simple test. We did 2 piles of compost. One pile, tarp it up, left it alone, so done in a very traditional way. And one pile right next to it, following the teaching of Rudolf Steiner, this guy that created biodynamics, so, and bear with me, shaped as an earthworm, and every 1 meter enriched with homeopathic preparations, medicinal plants made out of chamomile, of oak tree bark, yarrow, dandelions, plants that have an effect on us. So why should they not have an effect on other plants? And so we use these preparations for 3 years, and for 3 years we find that the biodynamic pile had more life, more heat, more potassium, more nitrogen than a regular pile, and sort of made us go into the biodynamic road. So there you go. That's the long answer to your very short question.
but very intricate but simple ways of doing things. How many years did it take for all this to really take effect to the wine?
Sure, about 7 years. About 3-4 years you start seeing the difference. But what happens is that when you switch from conventional farming to organic farming, is that your yields just disappear. We're in the south of France, in a very dry part of France, so it's already quite low. But once you subtract the petroleum-based fertilizer, it's a mouthful, your yields just plummet. And so it took 7 years to really see a major change. And the certification as well takes a time to achieve.
So that's the first part, is the vineyards and how that affects the wine. The second most intriguing part to your story as well is your winery.
Winery, yes, which seems like it seemed like a very smart idea at the time. We had built a new winery, which was built in 6 months, I believe. A lot of poor concrete, reinforced walls. But by this time, we had already started the biodynamic cultivation of our land, and we were bringing this fruit into an environment that was filled with polyethylene, paint. It was a brand new building. You had that new car smell. And so my business partner, Robert, thought, well, it'd be a good idea to create a winery that sort of respect what happens into the vineyard. And he looked at different building material, and we settle on cannabis as a very, very, very good building material. To be fair, we only used the hemp. The top of it is used for essence and other recreational activities. The bottom, the straw, is mixed with hydraulic lime and with molasses and molded into huge bricks, 20-pound bricks. And I came bearing gifts today because I brought you a piece of the winery. I mean, this is obviously a piece that was taken on a construction block before, but it's hemp mixed with hydraulic lime and molasses. So it's a sugar-based fixer.
It's very light.
Oh yeah. I have a video of my California distributor with this tiny woman from Arkansas, and she's carrying this enormous brick. And even during construction, you didn't need any cranes because the construction guys would hold them 3 at a time. It's completely biodegradable. We could plow the building back into the vineyard, bulldoze it back into the vineyard, and use it as fertilizer. It's full of lime.
There's no paint?
No.
There's no metal?
There's very little metal, yeah, and no metal in the frame whatsoever, yeah. And there's nothing that can gas off in the wine as well. And more importantly, but the main reason why we did it is, apart from the obvious joke, hemp has amazing geothermal properties, so it allows us to have a winery with no cooling, with no AC and no heating. But it means that the air stays really, really pure. You know, when you air condition your house, it actually changes the quality of the air. And we have so much of our product exposed directly to the air that we wanted a winery that has as purest air possible. And also, since we don't need any heating, the winery is completely energy self-sufficient. And finally, and that's the kicker, once you mix hemp with lime, there's a carbonation effect that takes place. So instead of gassing off carbon dioxide like a regular building does, it does the reverse. It absorbs carbon dioxide and stores it within the winery walls. So the building is not carbon neutral, it's carbon negative. But it took 7 years to build. That's the bad news. Yeah.
So my timeline of opening up the store is small compared to the stresses of you.
You're right on time. Yes. Yes, as I said, anything worth it takes a long time, but it's certainly never be the first one to do something. And unfortunately, this building remains a one-off. It was supposed to be a sort of a showcase piece, and unfortunately, it remains to this day as the only building in the world made out of hemp on such a scale.
Oh, that is a shame. Hopefully, someone can pick up the baton and run with this again.
They will. The technology exists. And someone will use these techniques again.
Wonderful. So that is our discussion of the winery and the vineyards itself. We're going to do this in 2 parts. In the next part, please click on, and we're going to taste through the wines.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Jacques.
Of course. Good seeing you.